Well, hello there, Kath Langman here, and welcome back to the Productpreneur Success podcast. So we're into June now, and the year is definitely marching on. We're close to halfway through 2023 now, which is a little bit crazy. Here in Australia, many of you are probably, getting ready to launch a end of financial year stock take sale, or maybe you're calling it a mid-year sale. Some of you listeners in other countries will have already had your end of financial year, but you might be planning a mid-year sale or a mid-season sale or that sort of thing. Now, as you know, it's not my preference to run sales and discounts all the time, but there are definitely, a couple of times a year when it really can be a good idea to do so. Now, I was just chatting to some clients this morning about how when my hubby and I used to have a pharmacy, we'd literally have to hire extra staff to come in late at night and on weekends to count the stock on the shelf for stock take. And so that shop was something like 400 square meters in terms of size. So it was pretty huge. I would not be able to tell you how much, how many product lines there were in there. It was thousands. So there was a lot of stock to count. And so the reality was, if we were able to sell a heap of stuff at a discount before having to do that counting, that was going to cost us less in terms of paying for less staff time and overtime wages to count it than it was going to cost to actually sell it off at sell a bunch of it at a discount. So anyway, this time of year it does work well for an end of season sale as well. So that can be definitely helpful for those of you who have seasonal ranges, spring, summer, autumn, winter, that sort of thing that won't, or things that just won't be stocked again. So, anything that's left over on your shelves at the end of the season, or just end of line, end of range, that kind of stuff that you're just not going to restock again. So that can be dead stock. You don't want to keep all of that cash tied up in stock. So selling it at a bit of a discount to shift it really does make sense. And of course, let's not forget the good old mid-year sale, which when consumer sentiment is down and we need to take some extra steps to stimulate sales, then that may be an occasion where you're wanting to run a sale promotion. So whatever reason that you might be considering running a sale right now, let's talk through some steps and some strategies that you can take to really boost your revenue and your profits right now. So how can you have the biggest impact without spending an absolute fortune on expensive ads, which you don't want to be, you definitely don't want to be sinking a lot of cash in expensive ads when you're running a discount sale. So, ultimately so that you can pocket as much of that moolah as possible. So let's dive in, and I'm going to share a few steps and strategies that you can be employing right now. And the first that we want to talk about is what is your offer or incentive, or offers and incentives, plural, that you're going to be offering for the promotion. And, hinting at saying plural there, it can be really helpful to stagger your offers and to have additional things up your sleeve to incentivize a higher purchase. So a strategy that we employed with really great success late last year for the Black Friday promos, which would work super well at this time of year as well, is to have it's almost like a stepped promotion. So there might be a basic discount or incentive, and then you might have another order value level where they might get something extra, like free shipping, for instance, or there might be another level where you offer, free entries into a giveaway, another level where they might get a mystery gift. I've seen some promotions done by a couple of big brands over the last probably 6 months that have 3 or 4 different stages or levels in terms of their offer and incentive, and it does work really, really well to increase the average order value and just really encourage people to spend a little bit more in that moment. And this can work very well if you have, say for instance you've got some last end of line stuff, so there's just odd sizes, odd colorways of things that you aren't going to be stocking again. So you could definitely offer those things up at much steeper discount, or you could offer them as a bigger discount if they buy that alongside something that's higher priced or full priced. You could offer them in a mystery pack, of course, as well. Just be mindful that when you are choosing those extra gifts, if it's a gift with purchase or a mystery pack or things along those lines, what you really want to try and do is not just get rid of the old stock. You also want to try and think about how can you get a customer to trial something new or different from your range. Obviously, this isn't going to relate to everybody's business if you don't have multiple different products in your range, but if you do, try and get them to try something different. So that can actually encourage a customer to adopt something else from your range and come back to buy that at full price down the track as well. Also, having a sliding discount offer as well. So you might have a sales section for items that you really most want to shift. So that's going to get the biggest discount. A sliding discount could be based on volume. So the more they buy, the bigger the discount they get. It could be also it could also just be based on how much of a VIP are they. So there's a lot of different ways that you can slice and dice this. So really start by thinking what the offer or offers will be and how can you encourage people to trial your products for the first time if they're a new customer, but also trial different products from your range if they're a repeat customer, and how can you also encourage a higher average order value, because obviously that is going to make the sale much more worthwhile for you. The second thing that you want to consider is, of course, the promotional time frame, and when are you going to start it and when are you going to end it. So within that promotional time frame, well, actually, before I even get to that, a few of our clients have been asking me this week, hey, Kath, when is the best time to start my end of season sale? When's everyone going to be doing it? And, the reality is the answer to that question right now is that there's going to be people on sale already, probably. And then there'll be others that wait till the last week of the month. And so it's really up to you. I think at the end of the day, going out too early just because you see everybody else doing it or your competitors doing it is probably not the right way to make that decision. You've just got to stick to your guns and listen to the rest of this episode so that you get a little bit more of a sense of all the things that you can do from a marketing perspective and a strategy perspective to get the best results, because going out first might not be actually the way you're going to win the game. So yeah, within that promotional time frame, the start and end date, you also want to think about, when you need to go out with different sorts of messaging within that time frame, because certainly towards the end of your promotional period, then you want to be sharing a little bit of a don't miss out type message. The FOMO will get a lot of people over the line in the last few days and hours of a sale event. So think about that promotional time frame. The other thing I just want to say here is if you're going to go to the effort of pulling together a big promotion like this at this time of year, don't make it too short. Certainly, trying to hold people's attention over a really long period of time is not a great idea either. So realistically, a week to 2 weeks is probably going to be the time frame for most of you. The longer end of that for those of you who are newer and you don't have a very big audience. And then if you're a much bigger business and you've got a much bigger audience, then you can go to the shorter end of that. Even shorter than a week if you have a big enough list and a big enough audience, and you'll get people over the line. So really think about what's going to make sense for your business there. Third thing that you really want to think about and prepare is getting your website ready. And so there's a few elements, and to name the key ones for you, you want to think about your homepage. So making sure that you have a new hero image on your homepage banner image section. You might also repeat that on a sale category if you're going to have a separate sale category for this promotion. And maybe also make use of the announcement banner at the top of your website, because there might be people who aren't necessarily coming to the homepage, or they might leave the homepage and look around on other pages of your website. So just having it always visible on the announcement bar might be helpful there as well. You could think about adding a countdown timer on your website. So homepage, sale collection page, even product pages as well. If you can, add it to the emails for this promotion as well. But, you know, when it comes to if you don't do a sale event very often and you need to make sure people realize when it ends and make use of that, you know, the FOMO element towards the end of it to get the stragglers over the line, just, you know, encouraging people to make a decision by that due date. The countdown timer is a great visual cue that will help with that. Another thing you could think about is using an upsell app that might show related products or offer additional discounts to add something more to the cart. So that or a pop-up app that's going to show how close you are to the next incentive level. So those would be really excellent strategies to use if you are running more than one discount or offer throughout the promotional period. If you're not doing more than one offer per se, but you know, perhaps you want to offer something from, you know, the sale category where you really want to get rid of that stock, you could offer that at an extra discount once people have added something full price. So that would be a way you could use an upsell app to your advantage. Something else that you want to think about for your website as well is just potentially updating your shipping, delivery, returns related information on your website. So if you do anticipate getting super busy and you think it's going to take you a little bit longer to fulfill orders, make sure you put that in the shipping information, and also make sure you make a note and a reminder for yourself to undo that information after the event as well. All right. The fourth element that we need to consider with a big promotion like this is, of course, the marketing side of things. And so really, maybe I should back up a little bit, but when you're looking at the website side of things and you're creating some images and graphics for your website, you know, banner images, category image, that sort of thing, or you may as well at the same time create all of the images that you're going to need for your emails and for your social media and for your ads, so that you can, you know, because they all ought to look like they belong in a family, right? They all ought to look basically the same, but just the different dimensions that suit those different you know, uses and locations. And you know, at the same time, like if you're briefing a designer or if you're doing this yourself, then, you know, get the scarcity ones as well. So getting those kind of organized all in one hit can be super useful. Now, before we get to any more on that side of things though, with the marketing, you want to start by building your audience and increasing engagement in advance in any way that you can. Now, I am going to share a lot more about audience building next week, but for now, you know, when it comes to increasing your engagement, you can, number one, you could do the list cleaning exercise that I spoke about recently. I'll share that link a little bit later. You can, you know, start making sure that you're getting some really engaging content on your social media and going out in your email as well. You can definitely put a little bit of money on things like list building ads. So using, like, we love to do a giveaway ad, a giveaway competition, and use lead ads on social media to actually build your list in advance of a promotion. So that's a really great way, but also just putting a little bit of budget on things like video views, ad campaigns, and post engagement ad campaigns. So essentially this is like the smarter way of doing boosting posts, but you know, it really doesn't cost very much at all to put a little bit of money on your content, your organic social content, for the purposes of attracting more eyeballs to that content and getting engagement and video views and all of that kind of stuff. And the use, you know, because it's so cheap to do that, but the benefit is that you end up with a much bigger pool of really warm people, potential customers in your audience that you can then show your promotion to. And you know, at the end of the day, if we don't have an audience to sell to, then we're going to struggle to make any sales. So this is a really smart way to get that prepared in advance of a sale. Next, in the lead up to a promotion like this, just really encourage you to try and collect some UGC style testimonial and demonstration videos from brand reps or customers or other content creators. Now, of course, I'm a massive fan of actually having a system in place where you actually consistently collect this kind of content. It's quite powerful content for your marketing. So if you really want to boost your ad results or your marketing results, and you haven't had a content refresh for ages, try and get yourself some of that. But definitely try and get it in advance of a big promotion, because this is how you help to give potential customers, or even existing or lapsed customers, the confidence and a good reason to buy from you again. Because if they can see other people really loving your stuff, then clearly it's a good decision to buy from you again. So really can help you to get that kind of content. And when you think about it, that sort of social proof content, it communicates to customers and potential customers in a different way. When you're advertising and marketing, say on email or your website, and running your own ads, it's you talking about your own brand, okay? And so that's all good, and there is definitely benefit in doing that, and customers do respond to that, but customers will always put way more weight on and have higher trust on content where it's somebody else recommending you. So this is why getting that kind of content from your customers or brand reps, content creators who use and love your stuff, can be super powerful. All right. Next bit of your marketing stuff, don't just make the message all about an end of financial year sale or stock take sale type language. Also, try and use messaging and language and imagery and, content angles that helps to make your stuff relevant to your audience right now. So obviously in Australia and New Zealand and other nearby places, it's getting pretty cold and wet now with the weather. So that might be an angle that's relevant depending on what you sell. It could be, there might be other kind of stories or scenarios that your customers are experiencing right now, or problems that they're experiencing right now, that you can tie in with your content. So what we find over what we have definitely found over the last more than 12 months really, is that major promotions where people are using kind of generic promotional terms in their campaign, and that covers emails, social content, ads, website, etc. And by generic terms, I mean like Easter sale, or EOFYS, end of financial year sale, or Black Friday sale. Those generic terms, they just don't get the same kind of cut through. I think consumers, we're seeing those messages in too many different places. I actually think probably spam filters start shifting some of that content into spam folders instead of inboxes. So wherever possible, try and avoid using that terminology all the time, and try and find other ways, other hooks, other angles, other stories, other headlines, subject lines that will be a little bit more relevant to your customers right now. Then also, as I hinted to before, prepare your graphics in advance. Don't be doing this stuff at the last minute. It's too stressful, and also you miss things. So make sure you, like, in advance, write yourself a list of all of the graphics that you're going to need, and each placement where you're going to need them. What are the sizes and specifications for each of those placements, and what kind of iterations of each of those graphics are you going to need as the promotion campaign progresses. So obviously at the beginning, it's a really fun, exciting announcement. And then as you move through towards the end, you'll need to roll out some graphics with some scarcity messaging. Next, you want to be preparing yourself to send multiple emails throughout this promotion. So I would strongly advise writing them in and designing them and scheduling them in advance. I do think it's a good idea to do them as campaign emails, not automated flows, if you can, only because that kind of makes it easier for you to make a few last minute tweaks or changes, or adding in another email if you need to as you monitor things, monitor how the results are coming in over the campaign period. However, prepare it in advance, so you can do things like teasing the promo the night before, encouraging particularly your subscribers who should get VIP access, encourage them to have a look and see what they want, and maybe even add it to cart so they're ready to go. You can send several emails and messages, SMS as well as your social content, but send several different pieces of content during the campaign. And if you do have a large range, you can spotlight certain things throughout the campaign or spotlight certain specific key customer segments that you might have and showcase the products that are relevant for them. And then, of course, don't miss the FOMO messages at the end. And then, of course, emulate all of that messaging and content across your social media and your ads as well. And in addition to replicating, using the same kind of graphics and content from emails to social media, also supplement that social media content with brand rep content and, really get the reach and the engagement from that kind of angle as well. Now, fifth step here, you really need to make sure that you don't forget to track your metrics as you go. Because by keeping track of how each element of the marketing and the advertising is going throughout the sale period, you can make some tweaks and improvements and some pivots if you need to as you go to maximize the results of the campaign. I don't believe that, any of these sorts of campaigns should be 100%, scheduled in advance and then, set and forget. I think that you need to keep your finger on the pulse. And, if you realize that you're not going to come close to hitting your target, then dive into those metrics and, try and identify what's not resonating. Or do you just need, maybe it's like a time of day with email sends that's just not quite hitting the mark, or there might be one email that has an excellent result and you've sent it at a different day and time than some others. Or maybe you need to add into, some resends to the non-opened segments of your list. So making sure that you are keeping track of the metrics and the results as you go will give you that opportunity to maximize the results of the campaign. Now, I did hint earlier, one recent podcast episode that you might want to go back to, or if you haven't listened to it, give it a listen. That would be quite relevant to you if you're about to run a sale promotion, is the recent one I recorded about incorporating SMS marketing with your email. So adding in SMS marketing can really help increase your total return on your Klaviyo marketing to 66 times ROI, which is a pretty insane return and, quite an easy win there as well. And, helps to maximize the return on effort as well, which I think all want to do with when we're running a business. So if you do want to give that one a listen, it's episode 172. So you can just head to catherinelangman.com /episode-172. Also, I have a free resource that may help you with planning and executing a big promotion like this. So I have my product launch and promotional campaign planning guide and template, which I use for product launches as well as promotional events like your end of financial year sales and your Black Friday promotions and that sort of thing. So in it, I share the 6 steps you need to be implementing to run a wildly successful campaign. And I also include a reusable planning template as well. So you can get yourself all organized. You can stay on top of all of those moving parts of the campaign. So if that sounds good to you and you'd like to download that for free, you can just head to catherinelangman.com /launch and you can get your copy today. And you can, of course, find both those links on today's episode show notes page for the podcast. So super easy. So that's it for today's episode. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope you find it helpful for you as you plan your next big promotion. And I really hope that it helps you to get some bigger and better results than you may have otherwise. Of course, if you are looking for some help with launching or building your brand and getting the right marketing in place to really drive revenue growth, I'd love to invite you to book in a free e-commerce strategy session with us. And that's where we would talk about, your goals and where you're struggling right now and what you're really hoping to build and grow with your business. So don't forget that I work with brands in a variety of ways, depending on what stage of business you're at. So we do have packages that suit you at all those different stages. So if you'd like to book that in, just head to catherinelangman.com /work-with-me. And I will, of course, include that link on the podcast show notes page as well, just in case it's too hard to remember. For now, though, I really hope you have a fabulous rest of the day and a great rest of the week, and I will be back with you on the show again next week. Bye for now.